Hello, hello, good evening. Today was a fun day. It was an amazing day. Um, Abba brought some things to my attention that they were fun, but at the same time very eye-opening. That made me think that people with conditions like mine, right? PTSD, I guess people with ADHD, people with bipolar disorder, people with mental health problems that always are triggered by how the neurological system works in their lives. They actually will find two kind of people. One, a person that is compassionate and understanding and can see past the condition and what the condition intakes, or another person that suffers the same kind of condition or one of the three that I just mentioned, and without being disrespectful and being sovereign in their energies, can share a life together based on the understanding of each one another's condition, right? And it's fun because like people tend to think, oh, because I have this condition or I have that condition, they marginalize themselves into not feeling, I would say, enough, or not feeling capable to have a true relationship, one that is built with compassion, love, understanding, and outside of fears. I never knew how much fear lived inside of me until the condition started manifesting. And it was fun because yesterday I was doing jokes of how much of I would say naive I have been in life when I actually am around a person that I like. But that doesn't mean that I am like fully immature in all ways and all senses. I take accountability for things. I may delay more than others to take accountability at times because I have to brainstorm. But it's fun because people are so structured in their ways. And I used to be like that when I was so indoctrinated, thinking that everything had to be like the Bible said and how the preacher said it, until I said, you know what? That is not beautiful. That is not from Abba. For me, Abba is a father of love. And when he says things like today, he brought us to Jeremiah 15. And it's a tough chapter for the untrained ears and for people in church that want to actually impose fear on you. What people have to understand is where all this comes from. It comes from a different time, it comes from a different era. Therefore, the wording is different and it sounded more structured because at that time, words did mean what they did mean. In these times, words don't mean what they used to mean. Now, a lot of words that were strong in that time, that were normal, are now taken as offensive words. It's like when I say ignorance. You know how many people get mad at the word ignorance? I'm not saying you are ignorant. I'm saying there is ignorance in us being indoctrinated and not knowing for sure that we have the capacity to heal anything within us. It just takes one step, one single step. and that's surrender. If you surrender to the experience, if you surrender to receive the love that you want, if you surrender to understand that you're enough just the way you are, then you're gonna stop placing your value in what others think about you. It's plain and simple. Like, let's place for an example my story. I saved enough to be able to buy a house. And then from a sudden, I discovered I had PTSD for like 2.5 years. After I thought I was recovered, after I thought that everything was right, after I had already fixed my credit from all the debts from my separation, all that stuff, when I actually had everything okay and I was ready to purchase a home, I had the money. Boom, PTSD. Boom, fear. Boom, panic attacks. I'm like, okay, did I bring this to myself? So I started thinking. And yes, in a sense, I did because I engaged. And when I said that I was not going to talk about the past, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk about the experience. The experience is one thing, the people from the past is another one. That is totally gone. I can recognize what I did, but I cannot take accountability for the rest of the ones that played in that game. So even though when I say I'm naive, I may be naive in certain aspects when it comes to my shyness to being in front of the person that I like. But my intelligence has nothing to do with my naivety. Like my intelligence within the spiritual aspects of what Abba has been teaching me is actually allowing me to see humanity for who we are and stop seeing the indoctrination and conditioning that the world has imposed on us, which is totally different. And the type of heart that I have allows me to have that compassion. Do I speak with authority? Yes, because I am in my sovereign place. But it's not because I want to sound like knowledgeable or sound like I am whatever. I do it because when you speak about Abba, you have to speak with character. You have to speak with certainty and truth. And one of the things that is certain is Abba is not here for you to have fear. Abba is here to tell you to stop fearing so you can live life at its fullest. When I was reading Jeremiah 15, it says, "Then saith the Lord unto me," and this is the KJV version, "Through Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward these people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, Whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, Thus saith the Lord, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. And I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord, the sword to slay, the dogs to tear, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beast of the earth to devour and destroy." People may think that this is a threat, but if you see it as what truly karma is, it's just he's speaking. I am an energy that does not get tricked. Whatever comes and goes around, comes around, right? So, what he's speaking about in here is if you do evil, if you do things that are outside of righteousness, which we all do because we're human, we make mistakes. but we don't take accountability for them in front of Him, not in front of others, then what happens is that if you don't show repentance and you don't surrender, the surroundings that you're holding on to, like materialism, like false indoctrination, like false beliefs, it's going to turn out to be what you receive in your life. And then when you receive in your life those things, then you're going to be in the victim standpoint. Nothing goes good for me. Nothing this, nothing that. And I was there. I'm not criticizing it. I was there. I was there because I was tired. I have been working since I was 15. I did very bad choices when I was like teenager and when I was in my younger years. Then I moved countries. When I moved countries, I had to start all over again. When I was settled in a place, things happen and I ended up where I am right now, moving again. And when I was actually completely regaining my whole stability and everything again fell off. And a lot of people may think, oh, this happened because you deserve it or blah, 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 blah. No, nobody deserves it. But everybody has an experience that they have to go through in order to learn the lesson. So I don't take lessons as just a joke. I joke about my funny side of not making everything so serious so people can be more compassionate with themselves. Not because I want to enable them, is because depending on the condition that the person has, there has to be more sympathy, there has to be more empathy, and there has to be more compassion. Now, there are people that they think that you owe them compassion without them working for getting better. And many people may have thought that I was that person, and that's fine. But there is a time for everything. I feel happy that I'm back into myself, that the most go-getter that I've always been, like that I'm doing my personal business, that I'm working in the job that I like, that I'm doing things that are fun, that I'm singing when I want to sing, that I dance around the house when I dance around the house, and that's it. That's who I am. If people are bothered by that, that means that they have a control issue that they need to work on, like I did. I had control issues, mostly with job stuff, not, yeah, sometimes in personal stuff, because I couldn't understand actions from people because, not because I had rose colored glasses, just because I had faith that what I see in those people is true. The higher self, the ability for them to have the same powers that I have, the ability for them to have the same connection spiritually that I have, is outside of the dysregulated body of any type of addictions. Because I smoke cigarettes and I want to quit, but I have to actually go one time, one space at a time. I started with understanding PTSD. I started with doing my business. I started with doing my spiritual part of it. I started doing my nutrition, and now I'm in the portion of letting go of the nicotine. And from all the bad habits that I had, even if this one was the worst in regards of my health, it was the one that didn't hurt nobody else but myself. So I made a choice. I made a choice to respect myself, to heal myself, and little by little start regaining what I lost from myself. Sometimes we have parts of our soul that got lost in translation, and you need to go back and pick them up because your energy is very important, and nobody has the right to play with your energy. At times, we believe that we have the right to impose our convictions in the lives of others. I made that mistake and I paid for it. Let's put it like that. Perfectly fine. Do I feel ashamed of it? I don't, because we all have been indoctrinated at times. And if I am going to be ashamed of my learning experiences, then I'm never going to get out of a cycle. And this happens a lot with people with addictions. They go in a loop, in a cycle, which is blame, shame, and blame, shame, and blame, shame, and blame, shame, and victim, blame, shame. And I was there. I was there, so I understand it. That's why I took upon myself to go and see what an AA meeting was all about. I wanted to see not only why the condition makes a lot of people go into that blame game of feeling bad for themselves and feeling the victim of their circumstances, because I was at one point in that place. So when I start reading Jeremiah 15 and I start looking at this all is telling, if you translate Jerusalem to the original Aramaic, right, you're going to see city of peace, foundation of peace. That's who we are. We are Jerusalem. We are the foundation and the city of peace. And peace can only come from a balanced mindset, an open heart, and a will to do right, even when wrong is calling. So I cannot say I'm not a sinner. Sinner is making a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Now, there are some mistakes that are okay, and there's some other mistakes that we just do over and over and over again until we realize, okay, what are we doing, right? But we all have to learn from that. You see, for who, number 5, verse 5, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? He's saying it. Who needs to have pity of you? You are Jerusalem. You are the church. You are a temple. So you cannot, literally, we cannot ask anyone to have pity on us, right? Regardless if we have to work 5 jobs, regardless if we're doing X and Y, because we placed ourselves in those circumstances, or we had to experience a downfall so we can stand up. So when I started realizing those things, I started realizing that at times when I speak about how I was raised and the little things that I had around me that show me unconditional love, I didn't have it as bad as others, but I also didn't have it as easy as others. But I don't compare myself with anyone. I see what I can do better for myself. And yeah, I may be older than any other people out there. But if you're younger, then take heed of the word. React. React to your own actions instead of blaming others for what you're going through. There are so many opportunities out there in life. There are so many things we can do. But just at the moment that we feel pity on ourselves, that is totally a disrespect to ourselves and to Abba. And the reason why it is a disrespect to Abba is because he made us at his image. Therefore, we just have to align the Trinity in order to actually be sovereign and act more righteously. I'm still have a lot of things to work on, but the understanding that I have about this is giving me a new set of eyes where I can see the world with more compassion, and I can treat people with more compassion instead of being so like stuck in my ways, I would say, or maybe indoctrinated. And that is beautiful. That is beautiful because at the end of the row, it will be nice to be able to see people for who they are and still not judge them, still love them. Rather, if it is from afar, still love them, because they have to go through their own experiences for them to find out what I find out. And that is beautiful. It's just called free will. Everybody has free will to make a decision. If you want to make a decision to be ill, mean, that's your decision, nobody else's. But if you want to make a decision to be true to yourself, true to your heart, and sovereign, then that's why the parable of, I will say, the prodigal son exists. Thou hast forsaken me, saith the Lord. Thou art gone backward. Therefore will I stretch out my hands against thee and destroy thee. I am weary with repenting. So Abba never does nothing against us. We bring the situations to our lives because of the things that we ignore, because of the things that we permit, and because of the things that we refuse to change about ourselves. So there's nobody to blame. No one. That's why I say that I don't have any beef with the people that came for me. They might have reacted to my actions, and that is fine. It's not godly, but it's fine. What I did wasn't godly, but it was ignorance, and it was fine. Everybody reacts however they want to react. And I saw a post the other day that made me laugh a lot because I said, oh, wow, so ignorant. It was a post that said, if you treat me like SHITTT and you expect me to treat you well, then you'll be sitting down waiting. First of all, if somebody treats you with ill intentions or they're mean to you, we have to learn to walk away. Problem is ego doesn't let people walk away. I was there. Everybody here has been there. Our ego tells us we need to either defend ourselves or get back at that person. And people that leave like that are envious people. And I never thought of being an envious person by just having to defend myself. Mostly if you defend yourself against something that is not true, then you're just living in appearances and you don't want your persona or your identity that was created in a false environment of having, let's say, what's the word? I had the word and I forgot the word. An image of yourself. So if you live from your image, not from who you are, and yes, everything that everybody says is going to bother you. And trust me, I've been there. But when you are sure of who you are because you found your identity, no one can play with you that way. And that is something that I want to stress out there. If you are defending yourself, you don't love yourself enough. I was there. But if you're actually reacting against the people that are telling you stuff like that, if you actually feel that you have to get even with the other person because of what they did to you, that speaks about you not having a kind heart at all. Because that means that you live with anger, and that means, and trust me, I was there too. And that means that you're affected by a person's lie upon your life. If it is a lie, why are we giving it value? If somebody treats you ill, or with bad intentions and offends you and calls you names or whatever, what do you win from fighting back? That's why I think God said, and the Bible says, do not throw pearl in front of the pigs, because when we are blinded by ego and blinded by victim standpoint and blinded by hurt with a close heart, because I was there. I'm always gonna say it. Like I say, I tell it myself, I don't care. Why I don't care? Because we're here to learn. And whoever doesn't understand that learning means making mistakes, and making mistakes is the word sin, and pass the page. Change to another video, because over here we're gonna speak about truth. Truth states that we are Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the city of peace. When someone alters your peace, is because you are not in balance. And that's why I had to seek for help, because I was always a person that remained the majority of the time in balance. And yes, I might have things in where I thought people are always good and trusted people blindly. And I now learned that for somebody to earn my trust, they have to earn it. It's not free. It's never going to be free. Not because I'm scared or I have barriers or I have a closed heart. No, because I learned from my culture to be way too trusting people. Like in our community, in our country, we trust one another because our hearts are different, and our community and our country is beautiful in that way. Like you can literally go to the beach area or to the country area, and you can find these people that are so humble and so nice, and they treat you like super amazingly. And that's the gift of our country. We have a heart that is of gold. And when I saw myself deviating from that heart, and I'm like, is it because where I'm living? Is it because of the people that are surrounding me? Is it because I'm not in my culture and in my roots? What's going on, right? And then I realized it was because there was some hurt, and my heart was a little bit closed based on all the things that I went through in life. But when I saw that, I saw an opportunity. I saw a bigger opportunity than making money. I saw a bigger opportunity that was probably silencing the mouths of others. I don't compete. That's the truth. Not because I'm lazy, just because I do not compete. And even though if I'm a understanding person and I tried my best to give people opportunities, I have to learn not to. I have to learn not to, because only those who understand Abba and true conditional love will know the words to say and will know exactly what they need to do. And part of it is surrendering. And for me, the surrendering part, it's beautiful but difficult, because people are so attached to their ego that it's difficult for anyone to say they were wrong. And it's very simple for others to want for you to say that you're sorry, but they never take accountability. So it is what it is. And I believe in a higher power that knows who I am and knows my heart, that there is more beautiful things in this world than to lose our time fighting battles that are not important. Because if we fight the battle of the ego of another human being, it's a futile battle. So futile that even when they tell the truth, half away, it may sound good to the untrained ears. But for those that see beyond the veil, and for those that can see the true heart of people and the hurt of people, I can see that. I can see why a person can be hurt. I can see why a person can be in the other side, in the depth of the pit. And it's very simple. It's because they have not recognized what they have done. So whenever there is a breakup, one person is going to blame the other. But what about pointing at yourself and seeing what you have done? A lot of people don't do that. I learned to do that because hearing the words, you need to love yourself more, at the moment that they were said to me, it sounded like an insult, but it wasn't. Actually, I think that the person said it and meant it with a lot of love. But in that moment, I was in the defensive portion of being confused by the abusers. Um, I was, somebody was like, I always say, like a dark empath. The other person had a nice heart. But regardless of, there was a connection between all of these energies. And that's what the third party energies were invading the real resonance of the main connection. It was fun because today I remembered the chat that I had with that person. And then I went back to it and I said, okay, if I go back to it and I read it from knowing my condition, then I will assume this person has a condition as well. And the times that I probably thought that the person was just not being present, yes, they were not being present because of their condition. Things that I didn't understand until I healed my condition. So that's why I say sometimes the right person may be a compassionate soul that is totally well and has no conditions, but has a compassionate heart. Or it could be somebody that is going through the same, that's scared about talking about it, but still understands you. So it's fun. It's fun because at times with this, with PTSD and also the abuse of the gaslighting and all that stuff that happened to me in the different places and scenarios that it happened, the fog, I think, was too thick for me to process my thoughts correctly or feel the energies correctly, which again, I don't resent nor repent from what happened, because if that wouldn't happen, I wouldn't known how to heal myself, how to be, after a year and a half, 2 years, drinking no meds and living a normal life. I wouldn't known how to organize my day in order to take a little bit here and complete this task and do a little bit here and complete the other task, and make sure that I am consistent with my jewelry, now with my pharmacy business and at work. So, and also in my daily stuff. So, yeah, I think that taking accountability, not only for myself, for others, should be the way to start. Should be the way to start, because sometimes we believe that one "I'm sorry" in kind of a joke way will get you out of trouble, but it shouldn't be necessary to say "I'm sorry." It should be okay if you act right all times. And a lot of people don't have that mentality because they use the scriptures to say that they have a right to continue to make the same mistakes, because it's not the same that you do mistakes from ignorance of not knowing what Abba is saying. But if you do the same mistakes over and over again after Abba already cleared your head and told you the truth, if you call yourself Christian, Catholic, or whatever, then you're just being a hypocrite. And I was there and I didn't want to be there because I know that Abba has a bigger purpose for my life that has to do a lot with stopping people from feeling guilty from being their normal, true selves. Original, authentic, without the need of feeling insecure about their authenticity. So I hope this message goes out to the person that needs to hear it. And just for you to understand, if you want to read the whole chapter, go ahead. But then it says in verse 21, and I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. In the moment you surrender, in the moment you ask him to show you the way and you do the right things, the burden is lifted. Why? Because the only burdens that we all carry are the burdens that we decided under free will to cast out. And casting out means whatever comes out from your mouth. So that's why I always say be careful, because if you're manifesting, be careful of what you're saying. And sometimes I catch myself with old habits of mentioning the past and speaking strongly about the past. And I don't think that is based on resentment. I think that is based on authority over the word of Abba, that I actually announce it with sovereignty on the word and not falsehood of the fake indoctrination that has been going on in this world. I can say it 20,000 times. The most beautiful thing in life is not holding grudges. And not holding grudges comes with maturity and understanding of these words. If you can, read Jeremiah 15 KJV, the whole chapter. Remember that you are Jerusalem, and then no one has hierarchy in this realm. This 3D should have no hierarchies. Whoever believes they're better than others, whoever believes that they're in a higher ranking position, whoever believes that they can control the life of anyone, they're going against free will. I made that mistake once. I'm not making it twice. Enjoy. Good evening.